Teni stood frozen in the middle of Chief Adebayo's glittering birthday reception, her heart hammering so loud she was sure the entire room could hear it. Across from her, draped in a gold dress that caught every light in the room, stood a woman whose smile was sharper than any knife. The woman's hand rested possessively on Kola's arm, and in that moment, Teni understood that her marriage had become a three-person war she didn't even know she was fighting. But every war has its beginning, and this one started on a day that should have been their greatest victory. 6 months earlier, Kola and Teni lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment in Ajij where the walls were so thin that their neighbors' snoring became part of their nightly soundtrack. Kola worked as a site supervisor for Babalola Construction, a small firm that built the kind of projects nobody photographed for magazines. His boots were perpetually dusty, his jeans had cement stains that refused to wash out, and his dreams were bigger than any structure he'd ever supervised. Every morning, Teni would wake up at 5 to prepare his breakfast while he struggled with the same stubborn tie he'd owned for 3 years. She taught primary 3 at government primary school in Ikeja, where her monthly salary of 45,000 naira barely covered transport and the small contributions she made at home. But she never complained. She believed in the slow miracle of patience, in the quiet power of prayer, in building a life one faithful day at a time. "This tie will be the death of me," Kola muttered one Tuesday morning, his fingers fumbling with the knot. Teni laughed, walking over to fix it for him like she did every day. "Oga engineer, when will you learn?" "The day I'm signing contracts in a boardroom instead of shouting at bricklayers in the sun," he said, pulling her close. "One day, baby. One day I'll build you a house so big, you'll need a map to find the kitchen." "I don't need a big house, Kola. I just need you to come home to me every night. You'll have both. I promise." He kissed her forehead, grabbed his faded backpack, and headed out into the Lagos morning. Teni watched him from their window, praying the prayer she prayed every day: "Lord, keep him safe. Keep him faithful. Keep us together." That afternoon, everything changed. Kola's phone rang while he was inspecting a drainage project in Oshodi. It was Mr. Babalola, his boss, and the man was shouting so loud with excitement that Kola had to hold the phone away from his ear. "We got it. We got the state contract. 3 major roads, 70 million naira. Kola, we are about to be big men." Kola's hands trembled. For a moment, he couldn't speak. Then he let out a shout that made the workers around him stop and stare. That night, he and Teni danced in their small living room to no music at all, just pure joy and the sound of their laughter bouncing off walls that had had more struggles than celebrations. Teni cried happy tears into his dusty work shirt while he spun her around, both of them dizzy with hope and possibility. "This is it," Kola whispered. "Everything is about to change." He was right. Everything changed. But not all change is growth, and not all progress moves forward. What Kola didn't know as he held his wife that night was that success would cost him everything he was celebrating. The money was coming. But so was the woman who would make him forget why he wanted it in the first place. Within 5 months, they moved to a spacious 3-bedroom flat in Ikeja GRA. Kola traded his old Camry for a Toyota Prado that made gatesmen snap to attention. His wardrobe exploded with suits from luxury stores in Victoria Island, shoes that cost more than their old monthly rent, and watches that gleamed like captured sunlight. He started wearing cologne so expensive that Teni could smell him coming before she heard him. But expensive cologne couldn't cover the scent of distance that now hung between them. Kola's new life came with new obligations. Business dinners that stretched past midnight. Weekend meetings that required trips to Abuja. Industry parties where the champagne flowed freely and the laughter felt hollow. He moved through these spaces like he'd been born into them, shaking hands with commissioners and senators, his voice growing louder with each drink, his humility shrinking with each compliment. Teni watched her husband transform into someone she struggled to recognize. The man who used to pray with her every morning now rushed out without breakfast. The man who used to call her my peace now treated her presence like an interruption to his real life. Kola, We haven't prayed together in weeks, she said one Sunday morning after church. He was scrolling through his phone, barely looking up. Baby, I'm building an empire. God understands hustle. Does he understand when hustle replaces him? Don't start this religious guilt thing, Teni. Everything I'm doing is for us. Then why does it feel like you're doing it without me? He kissed her cheek absently, grabbed his car keys, and left for another important meeting. The door closed behind him with a finality that made Teni's chest ache. She sat in their expensive living room, surrounded by furniture they couldn't afford 6 months ago, and felt poorer than she'd ever felt in Ajij. She had no idea that at that very moment, Kola was driving to Lekki to meet the woman who would shatter their marriage into pieces too small to count. That's when Sade entered the picture, slipping into Kola's life like smoke under a door. They met at the launch party for a new hotel in Lekki. Sade was the events planner, and she moved through the crowd with the confidence of someone who knew exactly how valuable she was. Her skin glowed like polished mahogany, her dress hugged curves that seemed designed to make men forget their home training, and her eyes assessed everyone she met with the precision of a jeweler examining stones. Boss Kola, she purred, approaching him with 2 glasses of champagne. I've been dying to meet you. They say you're the man turning Lagos roads into gold. Kola accepted the drink, his chest expanding slightly. Just doing my job. Humble too. Dangerous combination. She touched his arm, her fingers lingering just a second too long. I organize events for people who matter. Something tells me you'll matter a lot more very soon. Is that right? I'm never wrong about these things. She handed him her business card, her fingers brushing his palm. Call me when you need someone who understands ambition. I make magic happen. The first call was about organizing a small client appreciation dinner. The second was about planning his company's anniversary event. By the third call, they were sharing jokes that had nothing to do with business. By the 10th, they were sharing hotel rooms in Abuja, telling themselves it didn't count because it happened outside Lagos, as if geography could cleanse sin. Sade was everything Teni wasn't. Bold where Teni was gentle, demanding where Teni was patient, present where Teni had become invisible. She laughed at all his jokes, gasped at all his stories, made him feel like a king instead of just a man who'd gotten lucky. You deserve someone who matches your level, Sade whispered one night in a suite at Transcorp Hilton. Someone who moves in the same circles. My wife has been with me from the beginning. Your wife is stuck in your past. I'm your future, baby. Kola knew it was wrong. Every time he lied to Teni about where he was, every time he silenced his phone when Sade's name flashed across the screen during dinner at home, every time he came home smelling like guilt and expensive perfume, he knew. But knowing and stopping are 2 different continents, and Kola was too drunk on attention to find his way back. Teni wasn't blind. She saw the lipstick stain on his collar that he claimed came from an overly friendly client. She smelled the perfume that definitely wasn't hers. She found receipts for 2 at restaurants she'd never been to. But she prayed instead of confronted, hoping that faith could compete with flesh. God, bring him back to me, she prayed every night, her tears soaking into the expensive pillows of their expensive bed. Whatever is taking him away, break it. Bring my husband home. But Sade wasn't planning on being broken. She was planning on winning. And she was about to make a move that would force everything into the open, whether Kola was ready or not. She started posting carefully curated photos on social media. Her in designer outfits with captions like, soft life on a Monday. Her in first-class lounges with wine glasses, hashtagging, blessed and favored. Her in cars that looked suspiciously like the one Kola drove, the photos cropped just carefully enough to maintain deniability while broadcasting availability. Her friends knew. Lagos society knew. And eventually, Teni knew too. One of her colleagues at school, Sister Bimp, showed her the Instagram page during lunch break. Teni, I don't want to bring trouble, but isn't that your husband's car in this girl's post? Teni's hands shook as she scrolled through Sade's profile. Each photo was a small knife, each caption a tiny cut. But it was the comments that drew blood. People she knew, people they both knew, liking and commenting, "You're glowing," and "He must be treating you right." That night, Teni confronted Kola. "Who is she? Who is who? Don't insult me by pretending, Kola. The woman whose perfume I smell on your shirts. The woman who poses in your car. The woman who's taking up space in my marriage." He tried anger first. "You're being paranoid. You're letting jealousy make you see things that aren't there. So there's no one. There's no one that matters." The admission came so casually, so carelessly, that Teni actually gasped. "What does that mean?" "It means you need to stop stressing me. I'm working hard for this family, and instead of supporting me, you're interrogating me." He grabbed his phone and left, and Teni sank to the floor of their expensive bathroom, crying until she had no tears left. She didn't know it yet, but in 3 weeks, she would come face to face with the woman destroying her marriage. And when they finally met, the entire city of Lagos would be watching. 3 weeks later came Chief Adebayo's 60th birthday, the kind of Lagos party where your net worth was displayed in your outfit and your relevance measured by your table placement. Kola insisted they attend despite Teni's reluctance. "We need to show face. Networking is everything in this business." Teni wore a simple navy gown, elegant but understated. She'd been feeling exhausted lately, her body heavy with a tiredness that sleep couldn't fix, but she pushed through because marriage sometimes means showing up even when you want to disappear. She was standing by the dessert table, trying to make conversation with other wives who seemed to speak a different language of luxury and leisure, when Sade walked in. The gold dress announced her before she even crossed the threshold. It caught every light, demanded every eye, and Sade wore it like armor. Their eyes met across the room. Recognition flickered, then hardened into understanding. Two women suddenly aware they were circling the same man, stuck in the same territory, fighting the same war. Sade walked over, champagne glass in hand, smile bright and brutal. "You must be Teni. Kola talks about you sometimes. And you are." "Sade. I work with your husband. We are very, very close." The emphasis was deliberate, designed to wound. Teni's throat tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "How nice." Kola appeared then, panic flashing across his face like lightning. Sade turned to him, her voice carrying across the immediate vicinity. "Oh, Boss Kola, this must be your secretary. You didn't tell me you were bringing staff to the party." The music seemed to dim. Conversations paused. Lagos society loves nothing more than scandal served fresh. Teni's voice, when it came, was quiet but cutting. "And you must be the reason my home is dying. Your home was already dead, sweetheart. I'm just helping bury it." "Sade, stop," Kola hissed, but it was too late. Someone's phone was already recording. By morning, the video was everywhere. Lagos blogs feasted on it. Construction boss's wife confronts side chick at society party. The comment section became a battlefield of opinions, judgment, and gossip. Teni went home that night humiliated, heartbroken, but strangely calm. She'd seen her enemy's face. She knew what she was fighting now. But Sade wasn't satisfied with just public humiliation. She wanted total victory. She wanted Kola's heart, his mind, his future, and she was willing to go to any length to get it. Even if it meant visiting the one place that promised power but delivered destruction. Even if it meant calling on forces that don't give gifts without taking something far more valuable in return. Sade wasn't worried about the viral video. She was tired of hiding, tired of being the secret. She wanted to be the story, the main character, the woman who won. And she knew exactly how to secure her victory. Her friend Bisola had been telling her about Mama Adura for months. She's a prophetess in motion. She can bind a man's heart to yours permanently. My own husband used to worship his ex-girlfriend. One session with Mama Adura, and now he can't even remember her name. You're serious? Dead serious. But Sade, these things come with a price. You have to be ready. I'm ready. I didn't come this far to lose now. The shrine smelled like incense, blood, and desperation. Mama Adura sat on a low stool, surrounded by calabashes, red cloth, and photographs of clients' enemies with pins through their faces. She listened to Sade's story with the detached interest of someone who'd heard it all before. You want him completely. Completely. I want her erased from his mind like she never existed. Mama Adura ground herbs in a stone mortar, muttering incantations that made the air feel heavy. He must forget her. Drink this, put 3 drops in his food every day for 7 days. By the 8th day, she will be nothing to him. A ghost. A forgotten dream. And he'll be mine. Completely and permanently. Mama Adura's eyes gleamed in the dim light. But remember, child, every spiritual chain you bind around another person also binds you. What you used to trap him will trap you too. Are you sure you want this? Sade didn't hesitate. I'm sure. She paid 200,000 naira, money she'd extracted from Kola under the guise of an urgent business expense. She left the shrine feeling powerful, certain, invincible, clutching the small bottle that promised her everything she wanted. What Sade didn't know was that the same night she visited Mama Adura, Teni's prayer group was interceding for her marriage, calling on forces far more powerful than any shrine could contain. And when light and darkness collide, something always breaks. The only question was, who would break first? That evening, Kola was at a business dinner at Civic Center, laughing at a colleague's joke when his vision blurred. The room tilted. His heart started racing like it wanted to escape his chest. He tried to stand, tried to speak, but his legs gave out and he crashed to the floor, convulsing, foam gathering at the corners of his mouth. Call an ambulance. Somebody call an ambulance. The ride to Lagos University Teaching Hospital was chaos. Sirens screaming through Lagos traffic, paramedics shouting instructions, Kola's body fighting against itself while his colleagues called everyone they could think of. 2 women received the call within minutes of each other. 2 women dropped everything and rushed to the same hospital. 2 women who'd been fighting over the same man were about to meet again, but this time there would be no sharp words, no gold dresses, no superiority. Just fear. Raw, desperate, equalizing fear. Teni arrived first, still in her school clothes, mascara running black rivers down her face. She burst through the emergency room doors like a woman possessed. My husband, Kola Adeyemi, they brought him in, where is he? More, the doctors are working on him. Please wait here. Sade arrived 20 minutes later, her expensive perfume filling the space before she did. She stopped short when she saw Teni in the waiting room. For a moment, neither woman spoke. They just looked at each other, and in that look was the terrible understanding that they were both here for the same reason, driven by the same desperate love, terrified of the same devastating loss. Is he? Sade couldn't finish. They are working on him. Teni's voice was hollow. They sat in silence, 3 plastic chairs and an ocean of guilt between them, both crying for a man who'd managed to break them both. The video that went viral seemed stupid now. The Instagram post seemed meaningless. The gold dress and the expensive perfume and all the things they'd fought over seemed like nothing compared to the possibility that he might not make it through the night. An hour passed. Then 2. The waiting room clock ticked like a countdown. Finally, the doctor emerged, exhaustion written across his face. Both women jumped to their feet. Are you family? I'm his wife, Teni said. I'm his. I'm close to him, Sade whispered. The doctor looked between them, understanding flickering in his tired eyes. He's stable, but barely. Severe hypertension, complete physical and emotional exhaustion. His body is shutting down from stress. Whatever is happening in his life, whatever pressure he's under, it needs to stop immediately. The next episode could kill him. Do you both understand? They nodded, unable to speak. He can't have visitors tonight. Go home. Get some rest. Come back in the morning. Neither woman moved. They stood there in the sterile waiting room, both realizing that their war had almost cost them the prize they were fighting for. Sade's hand moved unconsciously to her purse where the small bottle from Mama Adura's shrine was hidden. Suddenly, it felt like it was burning through the leather, scorching her skin, accusing her. What had she done? But the real shock was still coming. Because while Kola fought for his life in that hospital bed, someone else was making moves that would destroy everything he'd built. The investigation was already in motion, the arrests were already planned, and by morning, Kola's name would be everywhere for reasons that had nothing to do with his mistress and everything to do with the money that started this whole mess in the first place. The news broke at 6 a.m. Teni's phone started ringing before she even fully woke up. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, still in yesterday's clothes, exhausted from the hospital and the fear and the pain. Teni, turn on the TV. Now. It was Sister Bimp, her voice urgent. The headline flashed across the screen: Lagos State construction fraud exposed, Babalola construction under investigation. Millions embezzled. Key personnel arrested. Kola's photo was right there beside Mr. Babalola's. His name mentioned in every report. The projects frozen. The accounts seized. The contracts cancelled. Everything they'd built in 6 months was crumbling in 6 hours. At the hospital, Kola woke up to find 2 EFCC officers standing by his bed. Mr. Adeyemi, you're under investigation for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Don't leave Lagos. Your passport has been flagged. Your accounts are frozen. We'll be in touch. They left him there, weak and confused, watching his world collapse from a hospital bed. Sada's phone was ringing too. Her landlord. I've seen the news. I can't have criminals associated with my property. You have 2 weeks to vacate. Then came the bank. Your account has been flagged. The car registered in your name is being traced for possible seizure. Then her clients. One by one, cancelling events, distancing themselves, protecting their brands. By afternoon, Sade was sitting on the floor of her apartment, surrounded by everything Kola had bought her, realizing that it was all about to be taken away. The car, the jewelry, the designer clothes, even the apartment. Everything she thought she'd won was built on sand, and the tide was coming in fast. She pulled out the bottle from Mama Adura's shrine and stared at it. She'd only used it once, just 3 drops in Kola's drink 2 nights ago. And now he was in the hospital, his life falling apart, their secret exposed, everything ruined. What have I done? She whispered to her empty apartment. What have I done? But regret doesn't reverse consequences, and tears don't unspill what's already been poured out. The river had risen, and they were all drowning in it now. Teni stayed. Through the investigations, through the court appearances, through the public humiliation and the whispered gossip and the former friends who suddenly didn't recognize her at the supermarket, she stayed. She moved them from the expensive flat in Ikeja GRA to a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Iketon, selling everything she could to pay lawyers and settle debts. Her church rallied around her. Sister Bimp organized prayer vigils. The Women's Fellowship brought food every week. Even when someone suggested they should abandon Kola to reap what he'd sown, Teni's voice was firm. He's still my husband. For better or worse. Right now, we're in worse. But worse doesn't mean walk away. But he cheated on you. He humiliated you. He almost destroyed you. And he's paying for it now. Haven't we all needed grace we didn't deserve? One evening, during prayer meeting, Sister Bim said something that made everyone uncomfortable. "We should pray for that sword woman too." The room went silent. "Sister Bim, that woman tried to destroy Teni's marriage. And she's destroyed herself in the process," Teni said quietly. "Doesn't she deserve mercy too? We are not praying for her to win. We are praying for her to find her way back to God before she completely loses herself." They prayed. Some reluctantly, some genuinely, but they prayed. Months crawled by. Kola was eventually cleared of the major criminal charges. The investigation revealed that while he'd benefited from the corruption, he wasn't one of the masterminds. But cleared didn't mean restored. He lost everything. The respect, the connections, the money, the power. He was released back into a life that looked nothing like the one he'd built. The Prado was long gone. The designer suit sold. The important friends who used to blow up his phone now couldn't remember his number. He was humbled, broken, and slowly being rebuilt by the same woman he'd almost destroyed. One Saturday afternoon, Teni took a bus to Soralia. She'd heard through the Lagos grapevine that Sade was there, selling puff-puff outside a primary school. Part of her didn't want to go. Part of her wanted to let Sade drown in the consequences of her own choices. But another part, the part that had been praying for months, wouldn't let her rest until she went. She found Sade behind a small stand, oil-stained apron over faded clothes, face drawn and tired, eyes that had seen too much too fast. The glamour was gone. The confidence was gone. What remained was just a woman trying to survive. "Teni." Sade's voice cracked like old paint when she looked up. "Hello, Sade. If you came here to see me suffer, congratulations. You're getting a good show. I didn't come here for that." Teni placed a small envelope on the stand. "This isn't much, but it's something. Start over properly this time. The right way." Sade stared at the envelope like it might explode. "Why would you help me? After everything I did. I tried to take your husband. I humiliated you publicly. Her voice broke. "I did things to try to keep him that I'm so ashamed of now. Things I can't take back." "I know. Then why?" "Because we both lost something, Sade. Because holding on to bitterness won't bring back what we had. Because maybe mercy is the only thing that breaks these terrible cycles we create." Teni's eyes filled with tears. "You were wrong. What you did was wrong. But you've paid for it. And I believe God still has plans for you that don't involve frying puff-puff in shame for the rest of your life." Sade's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. 50,000 naira and a note. "God gives second chances. Don't waste yours. God bless you, Sade." She looked up, tears streaming down her face, but Teni was already walking away. She didn't look back. Some moments of grace don't need witnesses. Back home in Iketon, Kola and Teni sat on their small balcony as the sun set over Lagos. No designer clothes, no luxury car, no society parties. Just them, a bottle of malt between them, and the quiet joy of surviving what should have destroyed them. "I'm sorry," Kola said for what must have been the 1,000th time, his voice thick with emotion. "I traded peace for noise. I traded gold for glitter. I traded us for ego. I became someone I don't even recognize. I know. If I could go back." "You can't go back, Kola. None of us can. But you can move forward differently. We both can." He turned to look at her, this woman who'd stayed when living would have been easier, who'd forgiven when bitterness would have been justified. Who'd loved when hate would have been understandable. "Why did you stay, Teni? After everything?" She was quiet for a long moment, watching the Lagos sky fade from gold to purple to deep blue. "Because the man I married is still in there somewhere. Because marriage isn't just for the good times. Because I made a vow, and I believe vows still mean something." And because she took his hand, because I believe in second chances. We all need them eventually. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the sounds of their neighborhood coming alive for the evening. A generator coughed to life somewhere. Children played football in the street below, their laughter echoing off apartment buildings. A food vendor called out her wares in a melodic voice that had been calling them out the same way for probably 20 years. Life, ordinary and beautiful and real. Do you think we'll ever get back to where we were? Kola asked. I don't want to go back to where we were. I want to go forward to something better. Something built on truth instead of lies. On contentment instead of greed. On us instead of what us can get us. Kola nodded, squeezing her hand. I can do that. We can do that. In Suraleh, Sade counted the money Teni had given her, tears still falling. She thought about the shrine, about Mama Adura, about the butter she'd thrown in the lagoon 3 months ago. She thought about all the shortcuts she'd tried to take, all the lies she'd told herself about what she deserved, who she deserved. She pulled out her phone and opened her contact list. Scrolled to a name she hadn't called in 2 years. Her mother. The woman she'd stopped talking to because she didn't approve of Sade's lifestyle, didn't like the choices she was making, kept telling her that what glitters isn't always gold. Her finger hovered over the call button for a long moment. Then she pressed it. Mama. It's me. I want to come home. When pride enters a home, love packs its bags and leaves quietly. In Lagos, the river of greed always rises, and it drowns those who forget where they started, who they loved before the money came, who they were before success made them strangers to themselves. Real wealth isn't measured by the size of your car or the weight of your gold. It's measured by who stays when everything else falls away. It's measured in forgiveness given, mercy extended, and love that refuses to die even when it has every reason to. Money will come and go. Success will rise and fall. But character, integrity, faithfulness, these are the currencies that never lose value. These are the things that matter when everything else is stripped away. If this story touched something deep in your heart, if it reminded you that character matters more than cash, that faithfulness is worth more than fame, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button. Because I have more stories like this, more lessons from the streets of Lagos, more truth wrapped in narrative that might just change how you see success, love, and what really matters in life. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the one lesson you're taking from Kola, Teni, and Sade's story? Which character did you relate to most? What would you have done differently? I read every comment, and your insights matter. And please, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. That friend who's chasing success at the expense of their marriage. That sister who thinks a side piece can become a main piece. That brother who's forgotten that the woman who was there before the money is worth more than any woman the money attracts. Share it. Because the best stories aren't just watched, they are lived, they are learned from, and they are passed on to save someone else from making the same mistakes. Thank you for staying till the very end. Thank you for letting me tell you this story. See you in the next one. Until then, remember, when the river rises, make sure you're standing on solid ground, not sinking sand.